NBA basketball totals for Friday, February 24th. This is a segment where we take a look at totals set by oddsmakers. We usually do this live. That goes on Sunday through Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern. So be on the lookout for that. Really fun segment. A lot of guys chime in. We talk about the games of the day, and I talk about the totals, the picks that I like. And a lot of times guys disagree with me, and that's great. So we can get some good feedback during that segment. Again, we're going to go ahead and try and beat the odds makers today, going over or under the total. We have a winning percentage with our NBA total so far this season, but not really on the profit. So we got to do much better this second half of the season to go ahead and get where we need to be. NCAA totals, though, completely different story where we're hitting about 55%. You want to check that out. We have a video out there for that as well. So be sure to tune into that YouTube channel for that one. Don't forget also our Facebook page, sbrpicks.com, sportsbook review, sign up bonuses. It's all there. You got to check out our website. Let's go ahead and let's start breaking down some totals. These are going to be weird today, and I've done this throughout the year, and sometimes, you guys really disagree with me on this, and that's okay. But for the most part, I like this type of strategy, and these are just completely opposite plays of what the odds makers have set. So I'm going kind of with the odds makers on this one today. When we start looking at the stats, it starts to make a little bit of sense, but still the numbers just seem a little bit off on these two. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I'm talking about right now. First one we got up here is Dallas and Minnesota. Odds makers have it at 207. That looks really off to me considering the last couple times these two teams have met up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm back over this 207. And what I mean by that is, the last two times they've met up, we're talking about some pretty low totals here. The first time they ended up 101 to 92. Minnesota won at home. That was back January 9th. And then on January 15th, Dallas won at home 98 to 87. Here's the interesting part. Odds makers had the numbers of those games set at 196 and 197 respectively. They went under both those times. They've actually gone under the last three times they've met up. Yet odds makers have come out with a 207. That just looks really off to me. So I'm going to go ahead and back over that total. Now, when we dig into the statistics, it makes a touch of sense considering the fact that neither of these teams have been very, very good defensively. A little bit surprising too for Carlisle and Thibodeau to have some pretty poor defensive teams, but statistically, Minnesota, they're allowing opponents 47.2% shooting from the floor. That ranks 28th in the NBA, and Dallas, surprisingly enough as well, 46.8%, where they rank 26 in the NBA. So not a lot of defense going on here percentage-wise. The pace is not particularly fast for either of these teams, which gives me a little bit of pause. So this is strictly a numbers play here where it just looks kind of not right. When we look at that last matchup, 98-87 win in Dallas, the pace was pretty slow with Minnesota getting up 80 attempts, Dallas 77. Shooting percentages weren't that great. 3-point shooting percentages, Dallas shot 40%, but Minnesota only shot about 24% from distance. So, look for this game to just be different. It's going to be quicker pace. They're going to get up and down a little bit more, and look for them to go over this 207, which is going to be pretty surprising. Wait to see how this line moves, or you might want to wait to see how it moves, but I'm going to go ahead and back over this total of 207, Minnesota and Dallas. Okay, the next one up. This one was tough to me, but I'm going to go ahead and take over the total again. And this is between two pretty slow teams that play pretty good defense, and that's Utah and Milwaukee. But same sort of scenario here where odds makers have it at 200.5, which doesn't really make a ton of sense. I mean, you look at their last matchup. Well, let's go ahead and break down what they've done this year. In that one matchup that they've had this year. They met just at the beginning of February, and the final was 104 to 88. Odds makers had that at 198.5. They went well under that total, obviously, with Utah playing at home. Now, in this matchup today, we have two teams here. This is just surprising to me. We're talking about a Utah team that plays arguably the best defense in the NBA, but odds makers have set this total. Anytime you see a total over 200 with Utah, it's a little bit surprising. That's kind of been the trend this year, though, as we've seen a lot of high totals. So back to that game back in early February, that 104-88 final, you had a game that was really slow paced with Milwaukee getting up just 73 attempts, Utah 78 attempts, Milwaukee shooting 44% from the field, Utah 46% from the field. That's not bad. They did shoot really well from distance, which kind of helps me to at least make this more logically towards going over the total. So when we look at these teams statistically, you're talking about two teams that are actually pretty efficient on the offensive end. So it makes a little bit of sense why odds makers have it at 200.5. You're talking about a Utah team. They're only averaging 100.2 points per game, but they're shooting over 51% on their 2-point shots. That ranks 5th in the NBA. They rank in the top part of the league in most statistics. They rank 11th in efficiency. They're 9th in effective field goal percentage. So although the number doesn't match up, considering they went under last time, but the number is now higher, it makes a touch of sense. Milwaukee's averaging 105.7 points per game. And statistically, they're shooting 47.8% from the field. That ranks second in the NBA. So the stats start to kind of make some sense when we break down this number. So to break down this number more, So although it looks a little bit off, statistically, it does start to make a little bit of sense. So I'm going to go ahead again as we talk about this game and back over that 200.5 and look for a game that's a little bit more up-tempo than they played previously and for the scoring to be there. So for me, interesting day. I'm going over on both these plays here with two low totals, as far as this season is concerned. That's Dallas, Minnesota over the 207 and Utah, Milwaukee over the 200.5. Those are our NBA picks today, and I wish you luck on your picks today.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SPR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.